So here's the deal, folks. The Houston Texans just made a move that has NFL fans talking everywhere. Imagine signing a proven veteran, a Super Bowl-winning offensive lineman, and then parting ways with him before he even takes a regular season snap. That's exactly what just happened with Trent Brown. After months of waiting to see whether he could bounce back from a serious knee injury, the Texans have officially decided to release him. And this isn't just about one player. It's about a team completely reshaping its offensive line, changing the future of their protection unit, and possibly rewriting part of their season outlook. Let's break it all down. The decision, the timing, the money, the depth chart, and most importantly, what this means for both Brown and the Texans moving forward. Let's also not forget the personal element here. For a player like Brown, being released isn't just a roster move. It's a reminder that the league moves fast and doesn't wait for anyone. At 31 years old, with a major knee surgery behind him, he knows that opportunities are limited. But if you look back at his career, resilience has always been part of his journey. From 7th-round pick to Super Bowl starter, Brown has proven people wrong before. And that's why some believe he could still get another shot. It may not be as a long-term starter, but in a league that values size, experience, and depth, there's a chance we haven't seen the last of him. For the Texans, though, this is all about building for the future. They're investing in younger players, and that's the smart move for a team trying to establish long-term success. Protecting their quarterback and solidifying the offensive line has to be a priority. By cutting Brown now, they're sending a message. This is a new era, and they're not looking back. It's also worth noting that Houston's front office, led by Nick Caserio, has ties to Brown from their time in New England. So this wasn't just a cold decision. It was a calculated one. Caserio knew Brown's history better than most, and if he's deciding it's time to move on, it shows just how focused the Texans are on turning the page. Zooming out a little, this move also reflects a bigger trend in the NFL. Teams are quicker than ever to part ways with veterans if they think younger players can step up. With the salary cap, rookie contracts, and the constant demand for availability, durability has become just as important as talent. You can be the biggest, strongest lineman in the league, but if you can't stay on the field, teams are going to look elsewhere. Brown's release is another example of that reality. It's not about disrespecting his career. It's about the business of football. And for Houston, this is business, plain and simple. So, where does this leave us? The Texans move forward with a revamped offensive line, banking on youth and versatility to carry them into the season. Trent Brown, meanwhile, heads back into free agency, hoping that his recovery and experience are enough to land him another shot in the league. It's a story of opportunity, risk, and the unforgiving nature of professional football. One moment, you're a celebrated starter on a championship team. The next, you're battling injuries and searching for your next chance. That's the NFL in a nutshell. Unpredictable, unforgiving, but always fascinating. Keep an eye on Brown in the months ahead, because his journey isn't over yet. And as for the Texans, this is one more bold move in an offseason that's shaping their identity for years to come. First, let's talk about Trent Brown himself. He's a 10-year NFL veteran who has been around the league and seen just about everything. Drafted back in the 7th round by the 49ers, Brown worked his way up from being overlooked to becoming a starter on one of the league's biggest stages. He was the Patriots' left tackle during their 2018 Super Bowl run, protecting Tom Brady's blindside all the way to another Lombardi trophy. At 6'8" and over 380 pounds, Brown has always been one of the most imposing physical presences on the field. But as dominant as he can look when healthy, staying healthy has been the one challenge that has followed him throughout his career. And unfortunately, that pattern is what played a huge role in how we got to this moment. Let's rewind to last season. Brown had a short stint with the Cincinnati Bengals, but it didn't last long. He suffered a torn patellar tendon during what turned out to be a brief cameo, and that injury immediately put his future in jeopardy. Knee injuries, especially for offensive linemen, carrying that kind of size and workload can be career-threatening. This offseason, however, the Texans gave him another chance. It was a one-year, $2.35 million deal with $550,000 guaranteed. For Houston, it was a low-risk flyer on a player who had been a starter for multiple teams. For Brown, it was a lifeline to keep his NFL career alive. But as training camp approached, he never came off the active PUP list, meaning he wasn't cleared to practice. And now, instead of stashing him on the reserve PUP, the Texans chose to release him outright. Now let's look at what this means financially. The Texans are only taking on $550,000 in dead money, because that's the guaranteed portion of Brown's contract. That's a relatively small hit for a team with plenty of cap flexibility. Essentially, Houston bought themselves the option to see if Brown could bounce back. And when it became clear he wasn't going to fit into their plans, they cut ties with minimal financial damage. From a business perspective, this is how NFL teams operate all the time. But when it's a veteran name like Trent Brown, who has 96 career starts and a Super Bowl ring, it naturally draws more attention. Fans see the name and remember the big games, but front offices see the injury history, the missed games, and the uncertainty about what a player can provide going forward. Speaking of missed games, let's dig into Brown's durability issues. Since that 2018 Super Bowl run with New England, Brown has only played more than 11 games in a season once. That's a tough stat to swallow for a player with his talent. Every team he's been on, whether it was the Raiders, Patriots, Bengals, or now Texans, has dealt with the same storyline. When Brown is on the field, he can anchor a line, but when he's hurt, the team has to scramble. The Raiders once gave him a massive contract to be their franchise tackle, only to move on after just 2 seasons. The Patriots welcomed him back and got solid contributions, but never the full 16 or 17 game durability. The Bengals tried, and injury struck almost immediately. And now, Houston gave it a shot, but health once again stood in the way. So what does this mean for Houston's offensive line? Well, this wasn't just a one-player situation. The Texans have been busy rebuilding their line this offseason, and they've brought in new talent to reshape the unit. They added Cam Robinson, who has already become a potential trade candidate. They also drafted Ariante Erseri, who is quickly making a name for himself, and now looks like the front-runner to lock down the left tackle spot. On the right side, they've got Titus Howard, a versatile tackle who can move around depending on the team's needs. And don't forget about Blake Fisher, their 2024 second-round pick, who is expected to serve as a swing tackle, the kind of player every team needs for depth when injuries strike. For fans wondering why Houston would make this move now, timing is everything. The Texans had to decide whether to activate Brown, place him on the reserve/PUP, or release him. By releasing him, they free up a roster spot, and they also make it clear that they're moving forward with the younger players. In other words, this isn't just about Trent Brown's health. It's about the Texans wanting to give their new linemen as many reps as possible in training camp and preseason. If they already knew Brown wasn't going to be ready, why hold a spot for him? This decision, as tough as it looks on paper, is about setting the tone for the season ahead and trusting the next generation of talent. Now let's shift back to Brown himself. The report says he was actually close to recovery from knee surgery, which makes this move a little more surprising. But think about it. Even if he's medically cleared, there's a huge difference between being healthy enough to pass a physical and being ready to start at left tackle in the NFL. Offensive line play demands explosiveness, stamina, and quick reaction time. For a 31-year-old who's had multiple injuries and surgeries, the road back isn't just about being pain-free. It's about regaining that elite form. That's what teams are betting on, and that's why his future is so uncertain. Will another team give him a chance once he's fully cleared? Possibly, but it's no guarantee, and that's where Brown's story gets really interesting. You might be wondering, where could Brown land next? The NFL is always unpredictable, but there are teams constantly searching for offensive line depth. Injuries happen every year, and a veteran like Brown could be attractive to a contender that loses a starter mid-season. His versatility, having played both left and right tackle, adds to that value. But here's the catch. Because of his injury history, he might not be signed right away. Teams could wait until later in the year, once they're desperate for help, to make the call. That's not unusual in the NFL. Sometimes, a player sits unsigned in August or September and suddenly becomes a starter in November because a team needs him. Brown's career might follow that same path this year. So here's the deal, folks. The Houston Texans just made a move that has NFL fans talking everywhere. Imagine signing a proven veteran, a Super Bowl winning offensive lineman, and then parting ways with him before he even takes a regular season snap. That's exactly what just happened with Trent Brown. After months of waiting to see whether he could bounce back from a serious knee injury, the Texans have officially decided to release him. And this isn't just about one player. It's about a team completely reshaping its offensive line, changing the future of their protection unit, and possibly rewriting part of their season outlook. Let's break it all down. The decision, the timing, the money, the depth chart, and most importantly, what this means for both Brown and the Texans moving forward.